Leafs star in tears after trade announcement. NHL fans stunned. In the hush of a Toronto dawn, where maple leaves cling like fragile promises to frost-kissed branches, can a single trade shatter the soul of a city that has waited 57 years for salvation? Scotiabank Arena stands sentinel over the lakefront, its glass facade reflecting a skyline stitched with hope and heartbreak. Inside, the Toronto Maple Leafs practice in the half-light, sticks tapping ice like metronomes, counting down to destiny. It is February, the cruelest month for hockey hearts, when rumors swirl thicker than snow squalls off Lake Ontario. Mitch Marner, the boy from Thornhill with a smile that launched 1,000 jerseys, glides through drills, unaware that the ground beneath his skates is about to shift forever. Please like, share, and subscribe for more Sport Talk content. The announcement comes not with fanfare, but with a whisper, a press release at noon, cold and clinical. Marner traded to the Anaheim Ducks for a haul of picks and prospects. The room where he learns this is sterile, fluorescent, the air suddenly too thin to breathe. He stands in the locker room, jersey half off, nameplate still gleaming above his stall. Teammates freeze mid-conversation. Austin Matthews reaches out, then lets his hand fall, words failing where brotherhood once spoke volumes. Marner's eyes, those bright windows to a childhood spent chasing pucks in driveway nets, fill with tears that refuse to fall. Then they do. Not in sobs, but in silent rivers that trace the lines of a face too young for such sorrow. He presses a towel to his eyes, shoulders shaking, the weight of a city's expectation collapsing inward. A reporter asks if he's okay. He manages a nod, but the lie hangs heavy in the recycled air. The turning point is not the trade itself, but the moment Marner kneels to untie his skates for the last time in blue and white. He lingers over the laces, fingers trembling, as if delaying the act might delay the goodbye. John Tavares places a hand on his back. No words, just the quiet solidarity of captains who know the cost of loyalty. Outside, the news breaks like thunder. Leafs Nation, a congregation of diehards who tattoo crests on their hearts, gathers in knots beneath the arena's shadow. Phones glow with disbelief. A father hugs his son, both in Marner jerseys, neither speaking the fear that this might be the end of something sacred. Social media ignites. Thank You Mitch trends within minutes, a digital vigil of highlights and heartache. Old clips resurface, Marner's overtime winners, his playoff smiles, the way he'd sign autographs until security begged him to leave. Anaheim fans welcome him with open arms, but Toronto mourns as if a son has been sent to war. Canadian networks loop the locker room footage on repeat, analysts choking up mid-sentence. In a Tim Hortons on Yonge Street, strangers trade stories of the first time they saw him play junior, how he made the impossible look effortless, how he made them believe again. The trade reverberates through hockey's cathedral cities. In Montreal, Habs fans nod in grim recognition. Gretzky to L.A., Roy to Colorado, now Marner to the coast. History teaches that no one is untouchable, yet each departure carves a fresh wound into the sport's collective memory. We pause here to reflect on what this moment unveils about the human architecture of fandom. Toronto did not just love Marner for his goals. They loved him for the boy who stayed, who turned down sunnier markets, who spoke of raising a family in the same suburbs where he learned to skate. Sports, at its most piercing, is a transaction of trust. Players pledge their prime to a crest, fans pledge their faith to a face. When that covenant breaks, the grief is not theatrical. It is ancestral, passed down through generations who know the Leafs, drought like a family curse. Marner's tears are not weakness but witness. They testify to a love deeper than contract clauses, to a city that asked him to be their savior, and in asking, became his. In that locker room, he weeps not for lost ice time, but for lost identity, the erasure of the only professional home he has ever known. This is the paradox of the modern athlete, to be both commodity and kin, to sign your name on a deal that can trade your tomorrows. Yet in Marner's quiet unraveling, we see the cost of that duality, the way glory and goodbye share the same heartbeat. In the days that follow, he speaks, not in press conferences, but in fragments, to a reporter outside his childhood rink. Toronto isn't a city, it's a feeling, and I'm losing it. Later, on a podcast, voice softer than fresh snow, I always thought I'd retire a Leaf, but maybe the story needed a twist, so someone else could write the ending we've all been waiting for. He tells his mother, in a conversation leaked by love, not malice, "I'm scared, Mom, not of Anaheim, of forgetting who I was here." And finally, to the team group chat, a single message that silences every notification. "Thank you for letting me be your little brother. Carry it home." These words are not closure but communion, a bridge built of gratitude across the chasm of departure. They remind us that legacy is not measured in points but in the permission to feel, to falter, to remain human beneath the armor of expectation. As the plane lifts off from Pearson, bound for California's sun, Toronto watches from below, skyscrapers blinking like eyes reluctant to close. The trade is done, the picks acquired, the future recalibrated. Yet something intangible ascends with him, the echo of a city's love, carried westward like a prayer on winter wind. In the end, this is not a story of loss, but of lineage. Marner leaves not as a traitor, but as a torchbearer, his tears the ink that signs the next chapter. Somewhere, a child in a Leafs jersey wipes their own eyes, understanding for the first time that heroes hurt too, and that hurt can be holy. So we close with this truth. The most emotional trades are not about where a player goes, but what they leave behind. The imprint of a soul on a city's ice, the promise that even in goodbye, the game endures.